Imagine everything you love about the hobby in the palm of your hand. An entire store at your fingertips. Everything you need to know about cards is within your grasp. Unlock the secrets of the hobby. Plus, so much more. You don't have to imagine anymore. It's here. Card Ladder. Get the app today.
Boom. There we go. That was quick. It took me like 30 seconds to get the live going. I'm sorry, Blessed. We had to watch the end of the game, man. You would have gotten very little quality content out of half of this stream if we'd been watching near the end of the game. All right.
Okay. Clippers do have some fight. How about that?
Oh, the Clippers, I think the way that they played in the first two games, they would have beat any other team in the NBA, and they should have beat the Mavs in the first two. The Mavs just punched way above their weight class. The Clippers have played 3 straight games that have been superb. Kawhi was 13 of 17. Paul George was well over 50 or 60% as well. The Clippers are extremely good, man. Very, very good team. And it's not like the Mavs had a regression today. The Clippers have not had a regression. They've played at this level for 3 straight games. So if they do end up beating the Mavs and they keep playing at this level, it's a tough team. Very, very tough team.
It's weird because all the media has been saying the Clippers are terrible. It's going to be a sweep, and they need to break it up. And Kawhi is not a leader, and they don't know how to close games. It's like, man, all from 2 games.
No way. That's because, like, you could tell Richard Jefferson for tonight, much respect Richard Jefferson, but you could tell he had not watched the first 2 games. He was like, wow, does Tim Hardaway Jr. always shoot this well? It's like, he's been on fire the whole series. Like, what do you mean? Like, they give these little clues that the media doesn't really watch the games, but they still have lots of opinions on them.
Part of his character that he doesn't really.
Part of his character. Yeah, but fun game, good series, lots of good series. Boston, on the strength of Tatum's 50-point game, gets the first home win. So now Brooklyn's sweating maybe a little bit. Lots of good series, man. Denver, Jokic is throwing that team on his back. Porter's a beast. They're up 2-1 now. I don't know, man. This playoffs is pretty exciting. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, these players have a lot of resolve, man. All of them. These are NBA players. They didn't just get here by luck. These guys are like battle tested in all scenarios. So you're not just going to be able to walk through them. Tatum put up 50 points tonight. 50. Some guy dropping 50 points on some of the best players in the NBA. Like, that's no joke, man. They're not just going home. And some of these guys are, the Nets are still going to win that series, but the Celtics aren't just going to back away. Thompson was like all over the boards. They were fired up. They had to get a win. So good for them.
The only team I think that has some explaining to do is the Miami Heat.
Yeah, agreed. Especially with how tough they're supposed to be, right? Like, their coaching staff is tough, and yeah, they've kind of rolled over.
Yeah. I'd love – oh, Alamo says the Heat are going home soon. Yeah, if we got some Heat fans in this chat, we need to hear some let's hear some excuses here, guys. What's going on? All right, but anyway.
I think the Bucks are just that good, man. I've been saying it.
The Bucks are super tough.
I think they're just
super tough.
The Bucks are just really good, man.
Okay. We want to talk any more NBA, or we got a lot of questions to get into here?
Let's go for it, man.
About the NBA.
Christina doesn't want to talk about the NBA anymore.
Is she mad about something?
Yeah, but I said it was probably a good thing we didn't go to this game.
I was going to say, we didn't drive all that way.
But she says if we would have been there, then they would have won.
Start the questions, dude.
Okay.
Can you imagine? Porzingis was like, oh my God, Christina's here. I better play better.
It would take more than that for Porzingis. God, he was terrible. He was unplayable tonight.
I
All
saw
right.
the stats in the fourth. He had like 8 points. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even his offense that was the problem. It was his defense was just he was getting toasted. Clippers went small and it worked. But no, he's not absolutely terrible though. But in this matchup, he didn't. They outsmarted him. Carlisle got outsmarted by that matchup, and he refused to move out Porzingis when he should have. Okay, first question from TMC Ma. Are you guys doing a 6-hour episode to make up for last week?
Man, I'm down. Let's go. What time is it? It's like
I definitely
it's
could
after
not do a
midnight.
6-hour. Definitely
After
could not do a
midnight.
6-hour one tonight, but maybe we'll make it up in small increments over the long run. 5 extra minutes here, 5 there. All right. Sweat 47. Where were you hiding in Dallas on Saturday morning? We couldn't find you at the show. Were you at the show on Saturday morning?
Yeah, I got there at opening Saturday morning. I mean,
okay. Josh
we
is
weren't.
not hard to miss. Like Carvin said, Chris and Josh are both tall. Now we know why we need to use a card ladder. Rim shot.
So we weren't on the actual floor of the show for that long because it was super, super packed and it was hard to kind of get around. So we were kind of like traversing the whole hotel a little bit. But I mean, people can message us, as well if we're having trouble. We did see a lot of people, right? We met up with a lot of people we wanted to see, which was great. A lot of time spent talking to folks. So that was fun. Definitely the highlight of the show for me.
Definitely agree. Sweat 47 next time, man. There will be future Dallas shows, I have no doubt, or the National. I think hopefully see you there. Ben J. Carlos, the great Ben Carlos. Dying to hear your take on all of the camera crews in Dallas.
I mean, a lot of people that had the camera crews are friends of ours, so I don't want to say too much about it. It was a little distracting. And my take on it, Chris, is that for shows like that and just kind of in life in general, I'm just not a big fan of recording things and taking pictures and distracting because I just like to kind of focus on what I'm doing. And the camera crew thing would have really distracted me. And I kind of noticed that some of the camera crews, people that were talking to us, it didn't feel it felt a little bit more scripted or we had to say certain things, I wish that wasn't the case because I had a lot of enjoyable conversations and meeting cool people there that I don't get to see very often, and it kind of distracts from it. So I didn't care for it, but now I understand why some people did it, and we have content to deliver in some cases, so I get it.
Well said. Plus, it's a strong incentive to make content coming out of these shows because it gets so many views.
Yeah, it's easy. You could just do anything and get views.
Carvin makes a good point. It gets a little dicey when people are recording without asking. I think that's part of the norm here that we're going to have to work out as a community is, maybe make sure to get permission in case people are not wanting it. Like when we went to Beckett's content creators dinner, at the very beginning, Beckett very thoughtfully said, look, here's the policy on content creation. Since we have cameras here, people are going to probably be recording anyway. My policy is this: record whatever you want. That's a term and condition of being here and present at this meeting. Anybody here can record and do anything they want with it. And implicitly, the corollary to that is if you don't like that, then leave. And maybe that's going to have to be the approach that we start taking to shows when you're on the floor, because the camera crews are only going to become more numerous. The content, there's just such a demand for it. I want to send a shout out, by the way, to Castro, who's in the chat. Can't Stop Cards Inc. Thank you for having me on the podcast tonight, guys. I had a lot of fun. So Josh, Christina, and I have already appeared in one episode of Sasha T's YouTube series. So shout out Sasha for that. Nice to see you at the show, man. Ryan, Card Collector 2, grabbed some footage of us. I think that we'll be making an appearance with him.
I thought Ryan's was cool. I liked Ryan's. I mean, he kind of took us to the side and made it a little bit more personal.
Yeah, no, for sure. He did. It was great to see him. Emil, Slab Talk. Appreciate you seeing you, man, and you know, throwing us in the mix. And there's a few other, like you said, a lot of our friends were there with the content creation machinery, cranking out content. If you're in the chat, do you want more content from these shows or not? Or I don't know. Especially I'm interested in hearing your opinion if you were there. Right? Like if you were there, do you have a different point of view on whether or not content gets made from this show?
It's really easy to make fun of it, that's for sure. That was one of the most popular pieces of content, was making fun of that. The meme was killing it on that front.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm not against the cameras at the shows, by the way. Or making content from the shows, but there certainly is a risk of going to shows for the purpose of making content and completely missing what makes shows great and the purpose of going to shows in the first place, right? So like, don't do that. Like maybe spend some time making content and spend the other time just like being a part of the, you know, because you make content as work, it's to help, you know, entertain, but maybe spend part of the time just enjoying the show for what it is too. I think that's maybe that's the way to do it. Carvin says take people out to the lobby and interview them. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the people doing it, other than like them, you know, not getting permission, or like there's a bunch of footage of some content creators where the dealer was looking at them like, what the crap. It's like some of that, whatever, you know, not perfect, but it was just like a personal thing for me where I wouldn't do it as much just because of what I said about, you know, kind of being in the moment or whatever.
A commenter says everyone thinks they are the Mark Cuban of cards, just getting destroyed on deals on their own live streams just to get FaceTime. Yeah, there has been a little bit of that.
That was one of the jokes where someone, we didn't talk to that person, but someone was saying that like that one of the content creators basically admitted that they got crushed in the deal just to make the content. And it's like, wow.
Yeah, I actually did make a deal while we were there off camera. Amazing what you can do when you're just focused on making the deal.
How is that possible?
I don't know. If a camera didn't capture it, did the deal really happen?
That's what I think SP Authentic 84 said that.
It's just so different, right? It's just so different. Like it would have been unthinkable for there to be just so many cameras at shows and stuff. I mean, when we were going to shows pre-pandemic in Southern California, you would never see a camera crew there. Never.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just whole new game, whole new ball game. All right.
Show the card, sucker. Show the card, sucker.
I don't even have it. I don't have
what?
it. Huh?
What does it mean?
I'm going to show it on Sports Cards Culture, so make sure you guys subscribe to our Card Letter YouTube if you care to see.
Speaking of content, we're going to make some content.
Oh, South Park says History Channel is going to have Chris reenact the deal. Are deals being reenacted, do you think? Or what do you think's going on there? Or do you think this is live?
No, probably not. I mean, it's really hard to capture the raw moment of it. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they just start filming at every booth and then one of them will hit and then just, okay, we got one. I don't know.
True. Could be. Okay. Next question from Bear Down Boiler Up. If you could change one thing about the Dallas Card Show, what would it be and why?
Oh, more space.
That's a good one.
More space, less density. I thought the actual hotel, the venue, everything was very nice. Like it was all brand new, obviously. Like a lot of the stuff in the Dallas, Texas area, it all just seemed so new. Like all the buildings and stuff. And especially that hotel, like everything was just very nice and organized and new. And I thought all the tables were well done, and it just was a little bit dense. There's just a lot of people in a small area. And you know, obviously with the pandemic, that's not great. And walking around, and it was like when we were standing and talking to people, it was awkward because we were like trying to not be in everyone else's way while we're just chatting. And then if you're wanting to look at cards, you got to like put your stuff on someone's table, and it's awkward. Nothing can beat 2018 Cleveland to me. Like there was so much room that it was just like obnoxious how much room there was. You could just like go off in a corner, and there's just, I don't know if we're ever going to get something like that again. And in that hotel, obviously, like they're limited, but maybe they open up a couple other rooms or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great one. It'd be excellent to have more space. That would be fantastic. God, I wish there was more time. Is that possible? I wish there was so many people there that we didn't get a chance to see. And, we were able to make it like 1 or 2 rows of the show in like a few hours and talk to all the people that we know there and stuff. And it's just like, you don't even get a chance to come close to doing and seeing everything you want to see. But maybe that's good, leave something to be desired, I guess. I don't know. 2005 Jay-Z, we do put crossover episodes on the Card Ladder YouTube a couple days after they record, by the way. Yeah, should have a networking room or a content allowed area. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
to me, it's like less about the city and more about the venue. Because once you're there, dude, like, did you even like notice you were in Dallas? You're just sort of like, oh, this is just the city. And there's just more barbecue and like Texas things, but more gun ranges. But that's one of the knocks. It's like, oh, Cleveland's lame, but who cares? You're there for a card show. I think they should do it in Vegas. Like, that's where they're really well known for conferences and stuff like that. They have the space for it. Vegas is obviously really cool. I'm biased. I don't like these 4-hour flights and stuff, so.
Or how about Southern California? There's so many buyers of cards and collectors in Southern California. I just feel like that's a great place to do a big time show.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even believe that it hasn't happened yet. What do you mean, where?
Where would it be?
Somewhere in LA? Or
There's no
I guess, yeah, that's true. There is no parking.
Yeah, that was the nice thing about Dallas. Well, you guys ran into parking issues, but Dallas and Texas are just, there's lots of physical places to go, spaces and parking lots and stuff.
Yeah, that's very, very true. But Saturday it was so crowded there that the parking structure was full early, so we had to park across the way at a space specifically designated not for convention center parking, but there was nowhere else. We drove around, we were wasting time, had to set up shop somewhere.
Yeah, California's expensive too for everything.
It is. Southern California is expensive, but to me, the recipe for making a great show is putting it somewhere where there's a lot of local big-time buyers, because dealers get to come in and move stuff, put something in front of buyers that buyers don't normally see, and from my experience, Southern California has a lot of big buyers local.
Chicago does too.
Yeah, Chicago for sure too. But Chicago's going to have the same parking issues and stuff too, so.
But National's different, dude. Everyone goes to National. That one to me is less dependent on location, just because like people are going to National just because they don't even we got people coming from Europe and Australia and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
the National is one of those ones that set it up and people will show up.
Yeah, no, Chicago does seem to be the best of a nice compromise. Long Island Sports Card says, who is taller, Josh or Chris? I think Josh is slightly taller, but I don't know. Maybe somebody who saw us at the show could confirm or deny.
I'm kind of a sloucher, like I kind of like slouch a little bit, so people maybe were more shocked because they thought you were taller. But if I stood up all the way, I need one of those like little things in the back of my. You seen that ad where like they put them on the back of their neck and it's like stands you up or something? Maybe I need that.
We got a lot of comments about people not expecting us to be very tall.
Mostly you though. I was like, I'm fucking tall too, motherfuckers.
People maybe had already seen you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, everybody walks up to you, they're like, oh my God, Chris, look at you, you're tall. Yeah.
Josh's like, what about me, man? I'm even taller.
Also, then I was like, yeah. I'm like scooching towards you, like, he is tall. Look at that.
He's really tall, isn't he? Let me send a shout out to Sports Collector, man. It was great to meet you, by the way.
Yeah. Wait till we meet up with Justin and David. Those guys are taller than we are.
That's right. Justin and David will round out the height hierarchy. All right.
Especially
Nice.
Justin. He was tall.
David says, "I'll dunk on both of you fools."
He's gonna have someone set up a hoop behind us and just like,
Have like a little My Slabs hoop just there, and just David just gets to dunk on people all day. All right. Agree, Manila Card Collector. Great games today indeed. All right, nice looking cardboard. As longtime card show attendees pre-COVID, what habits did you see at the Dallas show from newcomers that you hope don't stick around and do not become new norms? These questions are just baiting us, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can think of like a specific habit. I don't know. I thought everyone did pretty well on that front. I can't think of any. A habit is something you see over and over. I didn't really see anything. There's always like one-offs and stuff where I don't know. I made the comment to you about how it was interesting seeing kind of the mix of like the old timers and the people I'm used to seeing, like the old dealers that have been around for a long time, and sort of this new wave of investors and content creators and new people. It was weird to see that dynamic of them together. So my advice there is kind of just like treat the dealers with respect. I made the comment to you or I posted on my story that there was a lot of like super legendary people just sort of walking around, and more of the eyeballs were on the content creators. But it's like, dude, Jim Beckett's right there. And it's like, so I guess I don't know if it's like a habit or it's intentional or anything, but spend some time getting to know those folks and like understand how we got to this point. I think that's important.
That's great. I'll second that. I don't have anything to add really. I didn't really spend that much time with newcomers. We were mostly there with vets. So also shout out to Brett from Stacking Slabs, right? We ended up at the same hotel. We went to the show together numerous days. A lot of fun walking the floor with him too. Okay. Mike Pinkerton 50. Best part and worst part of the Dallas card show.
Best part? I really enjoy the after show stuff. I told you that. I just I enjoyed hanging out in the hotel and going to dinner and all that stuff. Just kind of getting to know people a little bit more closely. I think that stuff's always awesome. Worst part of the show? I can't say it on air. running into people screaming at us, stuff like that.
Yeah, true. What about a best moment? Was there one moment that was the best moment?
No, I can't. I mean, I'm not. I need some more minutes. Let me think about it. Do you have something?
I really enjoyed that moment at Rudy's when we were all watching the Warriors Memphis game.
Standing up.
That was just fun. Just a bunch of card guys watching sports.
Yeah. We were all just like, it didn't matter who was who or, what cards we owned and stuff like that. I was just like, we were just kind of watching the game. It's kind of like a nice equalizer.
It was great. Some legends were at that dinner too, which was nice.
I liked working on Card Ladder at the hotel. It's cool to see.
Yeah.
We kind of got this feeling of like, the garage, working in the garage kind of thing on a startup, and it was like, man, this is it. This is Card Ladder. It's just the three of us in this hotel working on it. I mean, I like that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. That was fun. Card Ladder kept us even on a you can go to a card show and just get like totally absorbed into the atmosphere there and just but like Card Ladder kept us grounded. We have responsibilities, we have things to keep doing. Go to the show, have fun, but then still come back and go back to reality a little bit. So that was nice. It was fun, and it's nice having a startup that you can work on from a laptop anywhere.
Well, it's just like that moment of like, something you build and like people maybe see like the videos and sort of the flashy parts of Card Ladder, but to me, a business is more, people on their laptops late at night working on something. That's what a real business is, and it sounds like something Gary Vee would say, but it's like the heartbeat of the business or whatever.
It's very true. And while we were there, you and Christina like collaborated on a feature, and then you like boom just cranked it out. That now there's like a new color that attaches to the dot on the graph in your collection that indicates when you acquired a card. Just little things just getting done while we're at the show. I wonder if people even realize it. I hope they don't. Hope they don't even realize that like the team was out of town and still replying to customers, handling this issue, handling that issue. It never stops. You know, it never stops. I remember we were in the hotel and you know, having an issue with something that was going on with the customer, and you and Christina are sitting there going back and forth solving it, and just never stops. You know, just never stops. Oh yeah, I meant to have this announcement as well. There's a brand new feature on Card Ladder, Pop Count Growth. Thank you, Offlix, for reminding me to just very briefly mention that. For those of you who have not seen this feature yet, here's how it works. You just bring up a card. So I'll bring up a fun card. Or here, how about we do? Let's do the Zion Prism Base PSA 10. And all you got to do, you go to the card's profile, look at the Zion Prism Base, click this image here, this little arrow guy, view the growth of the population over time, and there you go. Wow. Okay, so this card on April 29th was 16,700, and now it's 17,600. So those PSA pops are growing. Just cool new feature for you guys, and people have responded pretty favorably to it. So forgot
There's
to
a few cards. There's a few where it went from like 30 to 90, or like 7,000 to 9,000. And you know how you and I are kind of joking that people are like, "What happens when PSA just sends out this flood?" And you and I we're like, "No, it'll be more gradual." And some of them, it's like, "Damn, they really graded a lot in a short amount of time."
Yeah, so Nat made an announcement recently that they've now logged every order has been logged, right? So maybe that suggests they're doing things in a certain order, like let's log everything, let's just grade everything, let's just ship everything, rather than you know. So I don't know, but yeah, I've heard from a number of people that their PSA, yeah, exactly, Alamo Car Collection's PSA subs are returning. Yeah, I've heard from people that are coming back.
I've been getting. I got some 3 weeks in a row.
Oof.
So
good. There's nothing like getting a nice PSA sub back. Just a box of cards right to your step.
I have some thoughts on the Junk Slab Era, but maybe we'll get through some of these questions.
Okay, all right. Let's finish up the Dallas questions.
Yeah.
Actually, that's it. That was the last Dallas question from Mike. You want to talk Junk Slabs a little bit? It wouldn't be a bad time.
I mean, just, being at the show and looking at Card Ladder every day and seeing the pop growth stuff, it's definitely a Junk Slab Era. It's coming. Whether we see it now or not, we're going to look back 10 years from now and be like, oh my God, we graded everything. We graded anything and everything, and there's so much like physical junk slab cards like in the world. What are we going to do with all of them? Like, there's going to be so many whales that die, and it's just so much of it, man. And I think that is a big part of the whole, crash or correction that we're in right now. Is just that like people just have fatigue over those cards. There's just so many, and it's not that only those are going down. Lots of stuff's going down. Some stuff's going up, as we've pointed out. But people just might have fatigue over just too many cards. Just so much stuff, and we're seeing this is the effect of the last 3 years. Like with just how much stuff's been graded in the last 3 years, and it's all sort of like built up to this point of, oh my God, there's so much. Who the heck needs 20,000 PSA 10 Lucas? I clicked to look at the Lucas available on eBay, the PSA 10s. There's like 350 on eBay right now for sale. There's like 20 ending in auction in the next 2 days.
Yeah,
it's like, who the heck who wants all that? What are you gonna do with it? There's too much. It's not even a collectible anymore. It's just like so people are trying to make it a stock market, but it's interesting. Just at the show, I just kind of had this realization that there's so much, and that's what everyone's trying to sell. They're trying to dump it. What are they gonna do with it?
great question. Great question. Ken Golden did a live stream last week talking about how his most recent auction had over 50 million in total sales, which is an all-time record.
Wow.
Most money ever spent in one of his auctions. And his theory was that there's a lot of money being spent in his auctions, more money than ever in the hobby, but also the money's being more dispersed. It's not just concentrating on the handful of iconic cards that it was concentrated on just a few months ago. But it's being more dispersed now. It's being spent on in different and more broader array of things. And I think that's a pretty smart take. I could definitely see that. So like there's two things going on. The market continues to expand and more people come in and more money is being spent, but it's not all being concentrated on the same cards. In fact, some of those cards that we were really looking to as market indicators are retreating right now. You know, the card ladder index, the CL50, from its peak in early March, we're not even 2 months from there. It got up to 31,000. It's at 21,000 now. It's lost 33%.
Yeah.
Even as the market is expanding.
Yeah, I remember you and I were sitting down looking back at sales numbers from like February when things were really, really on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I, we were kind of like, oh, dude, I bet you there was like days of just way more sales than there are today. And I couldn't even find like a really good example of, oh, here we go. This was a day that was way more than we get today. And today we're getting almost the same number.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a dip in April, but I mean, right now, the number of actual sales is almost the same, but the prices of some of that stuff, as you pointed out, going down because you're right. Tennis, wrestling, and this is awesome because this is the stuff we've been talking about for so long. And I'm not saying that to say we were right. It's to say that like people are getting smarter and they're just getting more interested in the hobby in general. Like you can't get interested in the hobby if everyone is buying the same crap. That's not how this works. Everyone is different. Everyone has their own tastes. So to see people disperse and buy things that are interesting to them and spread the money out and become more of an actual hobby, I think it's fucking great. It's fantastic.
It is great. And yes, it's not just number of transactions either. It's the amount spent. This past week on Card Ladder, every day has been around 1.5 million in daily sales on eBay. That's extremely strong. That lines up with some of the strongest spending days over like a week-long period where it's just like 1.5 million. That lines up pretty nicely with some of the strongest days that we saw in February and March. Just pure eBay. And that's following in the wake of last week was the Dallas Card Show, was the PWCC auction, and was the Golden auction, and a Heritage auction.
And Heritage, yep.
You know, I do feel like one of the things about Dallas, man, one of my takeaways from Dallas, it just was an amazing retreat. That's how it ultimately, my ultimate takeaway from it was just like, this was a nice retreat for you, me, Christina, Brett, Carvin, Chase, everybody we saw there. Just a nice retreat, nice re-energizer moment.
Yep.
And then, you know, once you're done, you're totally reinvigorated. And maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think maybe Dallas had that effect for a lot of people. And then they started buying. And even though we had so many transactions, so much money spent last week, it still stayed strong this week on eBay. I think there's just a new energy has been infused into the hobby. And I think maybe shows have something to do with it. Totally,
man. Dallas is a reminder that the hobby isn't numbers on a graph, right?
So
and
true.
It's not sales. It's the show. It's the people. It's the energy of the community. And I posted on my story, like, dude, we can take a fucking punch. You know, like the punch being the absolute flood of supply and people still buying cards, you know, like if I saw the energy that was coming in February and you told me all the auctions and like just all the complete, I would be like, oh my God, the crash is coming. This is just too much. Who can take this much supply on? Doesn't make any sense. And we did, you know, we're still here. And at the Dallas show, that's a comment. That's one of the themes I also heard around from people was like, dude, there's a lot of people here and everyone is really excited. People aren't buying as much as we would like because, you know, they're a little bit nervous about the prices, but they're here. You know, they're here looking at cards and there were still deals going on. You guys bought an expensive card. So I don't know, man. I feel the market pool or the whatever, the people are getting smarter and more interested in it as a hobby. And yeah, it's great.
It is. It really is. And, you know, one of the things that was happening at the show was that there was a few people there who came to like sell like one or two cards. They came to the show to try and sell them. And both the people who I talked to who fit that description needed to sell cars because they had a larger tax bill than they thought they were going to have.
Yeah.
It was the same thing for both of them.
Yeah.
And, that tax thing is in the rear view. I think some people are still scrambling to cover that situation, but that's going to be in the rear view now. But I think about that, and then I just think too about, by the same token, man, look, all of a sudden we have all these like NBA arenas that are filled with fans, and like one of my buddies was thinking about paying $5,000 to sit at a good seat at the Clippers game, a card collector, and I was like, okay, so don't complain about the card market then when part of that extra money that you normally would be spending on cards, you're going to go spend a couple hours at a basketball game. I think a little bit of that's happening right now. I do think it is, and we might need to recalibrate our expectation of how quickly things are going to grow and what the new baseline is.
Yeah.
We might need to think about that.
Someone also messaged me in a DM, and they were like, because I was kind of optimistic about everything in the hobby, like I just stated just now, and they were like, the reality is that also a lot of people just got absolutely crushed in the last couple of months on stuff, and it's true. Like it's easier for you and I to kind of celebrate the market and the transition because where we've sort of put our stake in the ground, and it's sort of like it makes sense for us to be excited about it. But there's a lot of people that came in, watched certain content creators and they made their picks and they bought certain cards and they've gotten absolutely destroyed. Like we could just see stats on if you would have just bought everything from someone and you'd lose 30%. It's like, God, man, there's people that happen to, and it's unfortunate. I wish I could do something about it. All we can do is try to help those people. Try to help them find something else that they're actually excited about and continue through the hobby, and let them know there's more to it than that, and hopefully that they didn't get burned too bad that they leave. That's really what else can we do?
It's good points. Also, I totally agree, and it's a real sentiment that those of us who have the perspective of having been in this for 4, 5, 10, 15 years, we have a very different perspective than people who have been in for 2, 3, 4 months, or who may have started buying in January, February. And those people are looking for guidance. And I think we'll have a couple things to say about them in response to Drake's question. But the one thing I do want to add is that I know I can speak for Josh, Christina, and myself. We've all been adding huge cards in the last few months. Buying has not stopped. We are still making moves and picking stuff up in this hobby at the same collector pace that we always have been. And so while we are extremely fortunate to have been in this thing for quite a while and have been able to predate the incredible explosion over the last 2 to 3 years of the market as a whole, we're still buying and acquiring cars the same we were 2 to 3 years ago. Still just pushing on as collectors. Okay. Here's a question from Drake that ties into what you were just saying. From Drake's PC. For those of us that have been in or back in the hobby for 6+ months, it's easy to look at the macro picture and see that many of our cars are worth more today. But what advice do you have for the new hobby entrants that jumped in February and have only seen the value of their cards decrease since buying? How do you help them stay positive, motivated to continue buying cards, and in the hobby for the long term?
Buy the dip. I mean, it's everything we've been saying and that we've been saying for a long time. It's like try to find your passion. We can answer this question for Drake. He's kind of like been struggling with it a little bit just in talking to him, and he's sort of like refocused, figured out what he enjoys, and he's talked to me about trying to find certain LeBron refractors and something a little bit more specific. So maybe like, I guess my initial advice is to maybe like try to find something specific, like get a little bit more focused and not try to like overcome this insurmountable thing that you've maybe dug yourself into, or try to like, overcompensate for your mistakes and try to like go after everything and fix the problem. Maybe just focus in, simplify things, pick a few players, keep it simple. I don't know. kind of a fortune cookie answer, but I don't know. There's not really an answer to like, hey, just stop losing money and make money. There's not really like a magic bullet to that. I would say though that coming down from a pretty decent sized correction on some of that stuff, I think it would also be wise to just have some patience. Keep some of that stuff that you really do believe in that you bought. Maybe some of it you did believe in, and you still do. Don't give up on that. Definitely don't just like panic sell everything and go run and do something else if you actually do believe in this and you're having fun with it. So that's it.
Totally agree. All right, I'm going to give a somewhat philosophical answer. Just bear with me on this. I think the key here is to buy cards that you get utility out of, independent of making financial gains or not. Just like you buy a car, for example, and even though the value of the car depreciates, you get value out of it. It takes you places. It brings you it has an intrinsic value that goes beyond its financial value. Focus on cards that give you an intrinsic value that you like to show, that you can flex to people if that's your thing, or that gain you purchase into a community that just you really like, or that stand out to you, or that mean something to you, or that have significance or some sort of symbolism to you, or help you connect to sports or fandom in some more advanced way. If you do that, then that was always my mindset from day one. When I came in back to the hobby in 2016, if I buy this card, I'll be thrilled if it just stays, if it just keeps the same value. If it goes down, that sucks, but I didn't buy it strictly to be a financial instrument. I bought it because I love collecting cards and I want to have a pile of them to look at and enjoy and all the other things that comes with it. And I find the market to be fascinating. But here's the irony. Here's the punchline. Here's the punchline of this. If you focus on cards that have utility and that bring people intrinsic value and are not just financial instruments, but that are collectibles, those are the cards that over time tend to have the strongest markets, that tend to be the most resistant to dips, and that tend to just have charts that go up and to the right. And the most cookie cutter example I can give you is the 90s inserts, especially Jordan stuff, just because that's what I know. I know that stuff. I look at the charts of that stuff. It will have dips. Sometimes it will set one card might sell for 2,000, then 6 months later, 1,500. But over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, those cards have just gone up and to the right, and they've all outperformed any, generic index of a financial market that I can think of. Generic. So that's my advice. There is take the philosophical approach to cards. That's a win-win. And the win-win approach is collecting cards that bring you utility that you just want to own, even if they never go up. But it's a win-win because in the end, if any card is going to go up, those are likely to go up.
You just summed up like our whole philosophy in one nicely packaged thing. Well done.
There we go. Thank you, sir.
We don't buy cards because they're investments. They're investments because we buy the cards and the card.
Exactly right. Yeah, God, we do. We have a nice sentence that actually sums that up quite nicely. But yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well
Okay.
said.
Thank you for your question, Drake. Should I try to let me just see if I can say it. We don't like sports cards because they're good investments. They're good investments because we like sports cards. Oh, can I show your shirt? Christina has the shirt on, but she's bashful and doesn't want to come on camera right now because she's a little bit sad right now.
You're still leading the series. Come on.
All right. Okay.
She's a little bit sad right now.
Thank you, Josh, for opening up that gate so that the ball busting can go both ways. I'm going to remember this on camera that you gave me permission to.
Are you talking? Because then I can look at your shirt. Okay. No shirt time. I just said the answer, Joe.
The phrase of sports is like, after you lose, you feel like you're never going to win again, and after you win, you feel like you're never going to lose again. It's okay.
Yep, and Mavs fans have definitely felt like both of those in the last 4 days. Ooh, Dave, SBA Collector, says, you're sad, but I'm a Knicks fan, and Julius Randle decides not to show up now. Yeah, sorry about that one, man.
Yeah, the Knicks do not look good. I think they'll be okay. I think that series is going 7 no matter what. That's just, based on when I watch those games, it's just how I feel. But the Hawks definitely look better so far.
Now, do you think the Hawks actually are playing very well, or do you think the Knicks are just underwhelming right now?
I think it's both.
Okay.
Trae Young is got that little extra spice going right now, and the Knicks are struggling. But yeah, it's the NBA. They're all good. The Knicks are going to show up, except the Heat. Everyone else is good.
Dude, and Trae Young and Ja Morant, right? Morant went off for like 46 or 47. I mean, both of those guys didn't even make the All-Star game this year, and those guys were putting up impressive performances in the playoffs. This league has a lot of star power, man. That's all I'm going to say about
Just
that.
remember this. The next game, when they tip it off, it'll be 0-0. You have a fresh start.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, the question from Tiger Jordan 311. Is the current general market decline that we're experiencing the longest since the start of 2020? If not, what's the most comparable decline cycle to this point? I don't know what the start of 2020 decline looked like, if that's referring to like when the pandemic hit. And if it is, that lasted about a month. And then cards went crazy. Last Dance happened. The most comparable moment to right now was last October, November, and early December. Exactly. Junk Wax Poetics is September through December. Exactly. It was like this, but that period was worse than this. That period was a lot more brutal than this one. So, but that's the most comparable moment.
That was my favorite stretch in the hobby history because I bought so many cards, and I was like, "You guys are all crazy. Why are cards going down so much?"
Yeah, I got a nice card during that stretch myself. I kind of took advantage of the twofer. It was right after the Lakers won the championship, so like there's that little window of time when people were like when the short termers were trying to sell LeBron, and plus the market was in a trough. Anybody who bought LeBron during that window freaking killed it, man. Absolutely crushed that. What's up, Jonas?
I was talking to Rodman about that, and he was like, "Did you buy anything at the show?" I was like, "No." And he's kind of like, "Why not? Prices are going down. Isn't this one you like to buy?" And I was like, "It's getting so close, just a little bit more." I'm sort of like the guy waiting for the punt. I'm like, the ball's coming. It's getting lower. It's coming in fast. Keep coming. I'm not gonna fair catch this bitch.
Definitely, that's a good metaphor. I like that metaphor too because eventually you will catch the punt. You will make a return. Then it'll be first down. It'll be second down. It'll make a drive. Yeah, it's a good metaphor.
Yep. It's coming one way or the other. I'm just waiting for the basket.
There you go. That's great. The basket. Oh, okay. Now we're mixing our metaphors here. All right. Okay. This is from In Cardboard Veritas. My question is around football cards. I hear a lot of people recommending them as a buy because of the popularity of the sport and fantasy, etc. I love football and I have a Josh Allen PC, but as a long-term collector, I struggle with real investing because of two things. One, it's the only major sport with no international fan base. And two, the existential threat that the sport faces based on concerns surrounding CTE research and head injuries. It seems in play that there could be no NFL in 10 years. Are these legitimate concerns or not?
If there's no NFL in 10 years, that means the supply will stop.
Ooh. Whoa.
And I fear the international stuff. I'm just telling you that the United States is still far and away the number one consumer of sports cards and producer and originator, and the history of sports cards is here, and it's the number one sport here. So, I hear all that stuff. Like football's not the best investment. If it's not a quarterback, it's a waste of money. I just like it. It has utility for me, like you said. I'll just to borrow your phrase. I like collecting football cards, and I would imagine that other people feel the same. So I'm kind of going with it. I'm not really thinking about it in those investor terms yet. Maybe I should. Whatever.
Totally. They're all they all can be investment theories too. The theory of card utility is also an investment theory. The investment component of it is just, if I buy things that I really like, there's a good chance other people are going to be doing the same thing, and those markets are going to be really strong. Even in a down market, people are still going to want those cards for their utility. So I think those are two good potential hurdles with football, but the second one, if there's no football in 10 years, that's going to be difficult to keep up the year after year momentum for NFL. But I have no inside information, no intel on whether or not the NFL is going to continue or not in 10 years from now.
Well, I will say though that just being in Texas, like this past week, like football is a huge thing in Texas and the South, and I don't see that stopping.
Yeah, football's a pretty big part of our culture, and I haven't really actually heard quite so much about the CTE concerns. Maybe the NFL believes it has sufficiently addressed them with the repurposed equipment and helmets and stuff. But yeah, I tend to agree with Ali there. Football probably isn't going anywhere, but that's a real concern. Yeah, if football goes away, that's going to impact that market. And then the one about football not having an international appeal, that can be overcome because, like we've said on the show many times, I think as Josh said, you have width or the wideness of the appeal of the sport. How many different people can it possibly theoretically appeal to? But then you have depth. How deeply do the people who do watch football, how deeply does it appeal to them? And you just look at the ratings for the Super Bowl, for example, and it dwarfs the ratings for the NBA Finals, for example. Just absolutely dwarfs them. The depth of collecting and enjoyment and passion for football in America is unrivaled. So I think that first concern is not, it can be overcome. That's not a deal breaker for football at all.
Yeah, and as Rip That Wax pointed out, if you convince a bunch of people here to start investing in soccer, pretty sure we can convince people in other countries to invest in football here.
Great
and
point.
Also, the thought that the absolute money-making machine that is the NFL and football is going to just like roll over in the next 10 years, you're out of your mind. How much money is made from football and how much money people are making and all these different branches of things that make money from the NFL. This is capitalist America. That shit's not going away without a massive fight. Yeah, you're gonna have to go through a lot of things to bring down the NFL. And I realize that it's like CT is a scary thing and it's real, but like, dude, people are like, we're in a pandemic and people are like opening the country up. Just that's how badly they want capitalism back. Like money has a lot of draw in this country.
Yes, it does.
Good, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just the reality.
Definitely. All right, another question from Tiger Jordan 311. What's the quantity of cards that you have that you consider PC? What makes something PC? If you have the chance to acquire a duplicate to an existing PC card, do you pull the trigger or do you say no because I already have one?
Good questions. My PC goes about 30 cards deep. I don't know. What do I consider PC? If I don't plan on selling it in the next 5 years, if I have like no plans of selling it, because it's just like locked in. What was the last one?
If you see a duplicate card
you
already have in your PC, do you buy it or do you let it go because you already have one?
Big time anti-duplicate guy. Big time. Like, it bothers me when people have duplicates. Because we're all in this like race to get certain cards, or this, it's like a team game. We're all working together to get certain people's cards into their PCs, and having duplicates makes that process not optimal. And it's like, my goal is to get certain cards, and having money tied up in two of one card just means that that's less money that can go towards other cards.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Okay. So on dupes, I'm the same as you. On how many cards are in the PC? About 30 as well, maybe 35. About 10 McCaffreys, about 10 Lucas, and about 10 MJs. And the question of what is PC? PC to me is something that I'd be proud to tell somebody that I own.
Uh,
How about that? It's a card that I would show off and say, yeah, I own this, and I'm happy to own this card, versus a card that's just,
I have cards and binders and stuff that, I probably could consider as PC, but they're more just sort of, this is like a different category, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but you and I think of PC, I guess, more as like the cards that were a little bit harder to obtain, took a little more thought, a little more maneuvering, and, it's like a little bit more long-term, a little bit more expensive,
Sure. Yeah, and it's going to be different for different people, A
Yeah.
card that's not PC for one could be the holy grail for somebody else. Okay. Sonic Cards says, sellers love using eBay comps to justify their card prices, except for when they dip. Fair?
That's a low-key theme of Dallas. People listing cards at prices that were from eBay like 3 months ago because they're holding on to that price, or they kind of refuse to believe it went down, or they're just gonna wait till it goes back up to that price, or whatever the case is. That's funny. Is there a question in there?
Is that fair?
Fair.
I'm not sure what is that a fair characterization, or is it fair for sellers to do that?
It's a fair characterization. Is it fair to, they can't make people list prices at market value. It's slightly annoying because if you actually want to sell it, this doesn't make any sense. And you're just sort of, in my opinion, you're sort of like lowering the value of it even more by just like letting it sit there and refusing to sell at market. But, can't tell people what to do.
KPB card says if you don't acknowledge the dip, that means it didn't happen. And honestly, it's not good. It's not good even if the seller is able to get a comp of 2 months ago on their card. It's just not good, because then somebody's paying over market value and it doesn't get recorded and nobody sees it. So it just and it takes somebody out of the market for that card who otherwise might have been bidding on it on eBay. So it reinforces the dip. It's just better for everybody if everybody just pays market price. Just pay market price. It's fair. It's equitable, and it benefits the macro of the hobby.
What's the first stage of grief? Isn't it like acceptance?
I suppose.
No, that's the last stage.
Oh, that's the last. Josh wants to fast forward right to the end.
Denial
Acceptance?
is the first stage.
Oh, denial is the first stage?
The first stage of like recovery, then, like, okay, I need to make a change. Isn't it like acceptance?
It's the 7th stage of grief: shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, the upward turn, reconstruction, acceptance, and hope.
This is why I'm not a therapist, people.
This show is a bit like a therapy in some way. All right.
Yeah. I have my couch right here.
Just lean. My favorite sitcom show involved a therapist.
God.
Okay. Okay. So, inefficiency of card shows. Your comment made me think about this, about the inefficiency. So first of all, there might be people who have display cases or boxes of hundreds of cards, and they just don't even have the time, because think about how time consuming it is to go price everything over and over again. It's so time consuming, right? I don't know. That seems to be inefficient. People might have cards overpriced just because they don't have time to reprice them, and they go to shows all the time. They're just like, screw it. And especially nobody wants to revise the price downward unless they want to sell it. And also the inefficiency of card shows, it's really tough to make rational decisions in the heat of the moment. Like when Christina and I got a card at the show, we saw it on Friday, we went home, we thought about it, we came up with a possible plan, then we came back on Saturday and got it. Card shows don't really provide for a lot of time to think. Do you want to say anything about the inefficiency of deal making at card shows?
The card ladder's for.
It is. Yeah. It is. Like you were just talking earlier about how like cards, and I totally agree with this, cards are much more than just numbers on a screen or a graph. It's so true. They are. But the numbers on the screen and the graph do matter. that's just one tool that a smart collector can use to inform their decisions, right? That's what a tool like that should be used for, among other things. Card ladder does a lot of things, but yeah, it's helpful to have a tool like that.
I don't have anything else to say. I was being cheeky.
All right. Question. Oh, sports cards 1532. Have you seen the HGA slabs in person? And if so, what do you think of them?
You guys are trying to get me in trouble tonight.
So many bait questions tonight.
Here's what you're doing, Chris. You fucking ask them, you make me answer the hard ones, and then you go, I agree. Oh, every part of it. Ooh.
Damn it, my gig is up.
So that you don't have to actually fucking say it out loud and you're never held responsible for it. You just go, oh, I agree. I think they're horrible. They're so ugly.
I agree. Did you? I don't think I've seen. Did we see one in person?
No, I did. Yeah, I saw a couple of like.
Okay. No, I mean, look, that's completely fine. You know.
It's okay. And no, you said it best, and I'll just take it from your words. This is what Chris said, everyone. His fault, but I think this. The point of a sports card is the card itself, and when the slab tries to take away from the visuals of the card, it tries to clash with it and contrast against it. That's when you lose me. And you know that's my characterization of the slab is ugly. Is that like it's trying too hard? It's trying to blend in with the card, or it's trying to contrast it. It's like that's why I like PSA. It's just a freaking white label with a red, border on it, and that's it. It's not. And BGS is pretty simple. SGC is simple looking, and God, CSG is a little bit too much. The CSG plastic is really nice. It's really like clear. So, if someone asked me about the movie, and that's like the equivalent of being like the lighting was really good.
Yeah, sure. No, that's good. That's good. Dude, look, people are using the hell out of HGA service, CSG. Damn, any grading company popping up right now seems to immediately sell out. Even non-grading companies, great companies that are offering raw card reviews are thriving. There's a big appetite to have a card in a piece of plastic that has a number on top of it. And I would agree with Josh completely. The ones that do that the best are going to do a couple things, right? They're going to make the card the focus of the presentation. The slab, the only function that the slab serves is encapsulation, protection, and the provision of information that helps people understand what they're looking at. And the purpose of grading itself as a practice is to give a credible assessment that would consistently be applied by professionals trained in the art of grading, that would consistently be replicable over time, that's measured in a numerical form. So grade of 9, and any professional trained grader should come pretty darn close to giving that 9. So what makes a good grading company? Simple, clean, sturdy slabs and high quality graders who provide a high quality service and are credible and are reputable and consistent and are going to endure over time. That's what grading, that's the purpose grading serves. I'll go on a small rant here. I think there are some people who are fans in particular of a certain grading company who couldn't even tell you why. Why do you like this grading company over the other company? The slabs sell for more. And so what? What's the underlying reason for that? Is it the quality of grading is better? Is it the quality of protection the slabs provides is better? Is the grading more accurate? What's the purpose? Or is there no purpose to a grade? Is it just a Fendi bag and you just like it because it has the word Fendi on it? Is that all slabs are these days? All right, I'm over it.
And with that, the announcement of card letter grading.
Super muted slab. Cards more beautiful than ever, right through the screen. Best graders in the game. You'll know all of them by name.
You know them. You know them already, people. We're going to be
Josh
starting
and
off.
Chris.
Me and Josh, the main
We're going to be
card
starting
graders.
off with, you can only send in one card at a time. It's a registration, invite-only system, and it's going to be sick, and we're going to slab the hell out of those cards.
We already have labels.
30 subgrades in the back, just for maximal accuracy.
God, I can't think of anything I would want to do less than grade cards.
Yes, much respect to those card graders out there. Okay, we've been going for about an hour. What do you want to do?
I don't even want to break. Let's just keep
Let's
going,
not
man.
break. I agree with that completely. All right, Northeast Sports Card says Golden Auction. That's it, which happened a little over a week ago. But we touched on it a little bit, right? Over 50 million in sales according to Golden. I think Card Ladder tracked about 22 million of them, or 20 million. Not bad coverage. What do you want to say? You want to say anything about that Golden auction?
Yeah, I mean, I made my stories about it. My comment was that we can take a punch. That was kind of my theme of it. People wanted me to package it up in the way that they wanted it to be described, that it did horribly, that it did well. It was a little bit of everything to me. Like I saw stuff that didn't do well. I saw a tennis card sell for $185,000. It's like, how can you not say the market's doing well when a fucking tennis card sells for $185,000? And so I thought collector cards did well. I thought rare cards did well. I thought some of the common stuff did well that has recovered. I thought some collector cards went down. I don't know. It just was sort of like, it was a really unique auction with lots of really cool cards that sold that I don't get to see very often. Like that, the MSG card, the Jordan 23 game jersey with that sweet patch, the Giannis Gold Prism, the Federer card, like I mentioned. There's just a lot of cool stuff, and to me, it kind of reminded me of the golden auctions of yesteryear when we just looked at it for what cards were in it. We weren't worried about the market as much. I know that a lot of people are, but for me personally, I just enjoyed watching it, and I thought it was a fun auction with lots of cool stuff.
It was. What about, there was a heritage auction that ended that night. It wasn't super high profile. PWCC auction as well ended that night. Or I don't remember exactly. No, Golden ended over the weekend. PWCC and Heritage ended the same night, Thursday night. Do you have any thoughts on the PWCC auction, PWCC's first elite auction, or premier auction?
I thought that one didn't do super well, just in the cards that I was watching. I thought, a lot of stuff went a little bit lower than I would have expected, but we kind of pointed that out, that it's like the first one they're doing. People kind of were scrambling maybe to get signed up, and it's a new thing. So that's why I was saying, like, I personally wouldn't have sold with the first PWCC auction, but, give it time. They'll probably, knowing PWCC and their history and, their success in the hobby, I would expect no less than for them to get it figured out and get things rolling, and they're just gonna, they're gonna keep at it. They'll keep trying. They'll get better at it. That was just my initial thoughts on it. But I mean, I lost every auction I was bidding. That means that someone's paying more than I am. So cards are still selling for big money. So what do I know?
Very true. All right. Shout out Josh, Northeast. CZ Cards says, "What's your favorite card?" Oh, I like this. What's your favorite card from each of the last 3 decades? 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
Ooh.
You wanted to, let me take a stab at this first, and you can think while I speak. I'm not going to answer a specific player, but I'm going to give a set. All right. From the 2010s, I love Prism Nebula, 1 of 1. I think it's a brilliant set. 1 of 1 is the level of rarity needed in this era of abundance and parallels. Love the Prism Nebulas. Don't own any, regrettably. Shout out to our buddy who owns the Luca. You are a beast. From the 2000s, the 2003 Topps Chrome Gold. And from the 90s, the 97 PMGs.
Green.
Red. Green is great, but I think the reds look better, personally. But I love green. Green's more valuable. Green will always be better. But this is my vote. I'm going red. I love the way the red reflects.
It's okay to be wrong, you know? It's fine.
Yeah, 2 out of 3, right?
You were doing pretty well, and you.
I choked like Luke at the free throw line.
I kind of don't want to pick cards that I own because that's just too easy, and like I own them, and of course I like them. I bought them, you know. So I'm gonna try to get a little creative. I really like PMG Championship. I don't own any of those. I really like PMG Championship, and I'm really regretting selling my penny. The Jordan too. Those are awesome cards from the 90s, 2000s. I'm really growing an appreciation for the exquisite stuff. 2003 and 2009 number pieces are really they're awesome cards. I have 2009 number pieces, but I really like 2003 number pieces is cool. And I was talking to a friend about that set at National, and now it's kind of like one of my low-key goals is to get a 03 number pieces LeBron. That would be so sick. Rookie year, they're hard to get. You know, it's a tall task, but sweet cards. 2010s is hard, man. I'm one of those like guys that I don't really like any of the modern stuff as much.
Don't go. No, you like some of the modern.
I know, but I've moved through it, and I've owned it, and I don't even own any of it anymore. I guess I'll say Galactics. I don't even own any Galactics anymore. It's so lame. It's just a lame. No, I'm almost like embarrassed to say I don't even own a Galactic anymore because I like them, but I don't own it just because I sold them to get stuff I really like more. I'll say Galactic. I like the 2016 Galactic.
Good calls. Yeah, I love that question. If you're in the chat, feel free to answer as well. Really good question. Your favorite card from each of the three, 90s, 2000s, 2010s.
The answer for 90s is green PMG Penny Hardaway. That card is just.
Yeah, I think I probably should have said green PMG, but for this question, I just like the red. The red looks nice.
Probably because you know you're not going to get the green.
Oh, I dedefinitely know I'm not going to get the green.
You had your chat with that Harry Johnson.
Somebody messaged me the other day, and they were like, when did the last PMG green MJ sell? I have a buyer who wants to buy one for $2.5 million. I was like, what? Do you know that one sold on Heritage for $900,000 last December? 3 Sharp Corners says, please discuss getting 8s from PSA on modern cards.
Oh my god! I'm telling you, man. No, fuck you. Your turn. And I'm gonna be like, I agree.
All right, I'm happy to answer this question.
Good.
Getting 8s from PSA on modern cards is rough. And you probably are going to end up getting value on that that's pretty close to what the card was selling for raw anyway, in a lot of different scenarios. PSA has recalibrated its grading scale, it seems, although they have not officially announced that. And that's very frustrating. And there also is a case to be made that the informal expectations of what the grading scale was when millions of people sent their cards in have been disappointed by the fact that PSA seems to have changed it mid-flight. It's like you got on a flight to go to New York and the flight is stopping off in New Jersey. No offense to New Jersey. So, I think there's a legitimate grievance here. I think there's rumors abounding that the new PSA case, the new labels are more valuable than the old. And there actually might be something to that now, because there does seem to be a tougher grading standard, and there is a good chance that once you send in your old PSA 10, they're not going to send you a PSA 10 back. And that is a scary prospect. And that annoys me as well, because once upon a time, an old slab contained a premium because you couldn't replicate it. It was collectible. You could always get a new slab. You can't replicate that old serial number, and now you can't do it anymore. So that's annoying. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that one.
I agree.
Good, thank you.
I was going to say, One of my favorite parts of grading, other than getting my card back encased, is getting PSA 10. And now that's harder and happens less frequently. So maybe it's more special now. There you go.
Yeah, but there's going to be this period where people have to. And what happens if PSA goes back to the other? They loosen up again. Not good. All right. Sean, Dope Collectibles says low pop PSA 10 Jordans. Talk about those. And then he mentions the 1995 Collector's Choice Players Club Platinum, which is a Pop 6, an oddly specific call out by Sean. But yeah, low pop PSA 10 Jordans are badass. They've long been sought after by collectors. Really nice way to get numerical level of scarcity on cards that weren't serial numbered but were still short printed and difficult to get in good quality.
Undervalued.
There we go. Pat Geek says, are Kyrie and James Harden cards great buys, assuming that the Nets make a run at the title?
I don't know. Are those guys going to get credit for the championship regardless?
Good question.
Especially Kyrie. Is he going to get any credit?
Very, very good question. And how much of their prices already have a title baked in?
I would say Harden definitely. If I had to choose between those two guys, if that was the question, Harden, because if you're watching these games, he's kind of what makes it go right now. And I think he had 41 tonight or something crazy.
41, 10, and 7.
Yeah, I mean, I'm that weirdo that thinks Harden is the best player on the team over Durant, even because Durant just hasn't played as much, frankly, and he's coming off injury, so. All things equal, Durant's probably the better player, but I'm watching these games and Harden is just, God, he's just like mastered whatever he does, whatever you want to call it, his little like foul thing and whatever you want to call his game. He's just like completely perfected it. Like it's so annoying how perfect it is. It's like everything he does to like the square centimeter. It's just like he has every little piece of the floor figured out.
So damn true, man. That is so true. And also, Harden is the only one of them who doesn't have a title. So,
dude,
him getting his first is pretty cool if he does get it. But not
well
dude,
done,
dude. I think the Nets have maybe the toughest path of anybody who's favored to get a title. They're going to have to go through the Bucks. They're going to have to go through the 76ers. And they're going to have to beat Lakers or Clippers, probably, or one of those teams in that realm. And dude, I've been watching the Clippers. That team is freaking tough. and 76ers and Bucks are tough as hell too.
Wait, Clippers are tough? I just watched Sports Talk all week and they're the worst team in the league. I don't know. Doesn't that drive you insane? Does it not drive you absolutely insane? I'm like, they're like, you dude, you can even see it when they're like, well, I'm looking at the box score, and Kawhi played really good. Paul George played, but no, it's not about box score. It's not about numbers. It's about their leadership, guys, and that's why they're losing. And it's like, or the Mavs are just making more shots and they're playing better. Like this notion that like when two teams play and the team that loses somehow like made some devastating mistake and they're horrible and they don't have leadership is insane. What if one team just played better?
All right, here's Kawhi's stats through the first 3 games. 34 a game, 90% free throws, 45% threes, 61% from the field. So he's going 12 of 20 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, making 8 of 9 free throws, plus 8 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, 2.3 steals, and only 2 turnovers per game. And that's just him. That's unreal. Like his game today, 13 of 17 for 36 points. His last game, 14 of 21 for 41 points. I mean,
I'll tell you why it happened. The Mavs leadership really just I should have my own talk show and talk about how terrible the Mavs were tonight. God damn. Did they play any worse?
It's so frustrating too because it's just people don't watch and they get sucked into narratives. And so like, oh, the Clippers defense must be collapsing. It's like, yeah, maybe, or maybe it's just variance that just happens and teams get hot and I don't know. That's why you play 7-game series.
People need a reason other than like one team shot a higher percentage. That's not enough substance for people to grab onto and make a narrative around it. It's got to be something more. It's got to be that LeBron choked or that he saved the day. You know, like those don't make stories to just say like, I don't know, Mavs just like hit a bunch of threes and they won. It's like the freaking. I said to you in the text last night about the Blazers Nuggets. People were just like yearning for the storyline about that game, and it's like the Nuggets hit 19 threes and the Blazers hit 9, and they attempted the same number. That's the game. It's over. That's the game.
Yep.
Look at the fucking box score. This is how it worked.
Well said. All right. Heartland Hustle says, will the NBA playoffs affect the card market like it did last year?
Nothing affects the card market more than players not playing. So the off season will.
If we could somehow arrange a year-long off season, cards will go to the moon.
We did. It's called, the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. Also, I think the answer to the question is no. I think people overlearned too many lessons from last season, and they're trying completely different approaches now to cards during the playoffs, and people are being very cautious, and they're thinking things through very carefully. Nobody wants to be the person who bought a Kawhi Prism-based PSA 10 at $6,000 and now it's worth $2,000. Nobody wants to be that guy. So people are really curtailing their propensity to FOMO, and it's probably for the better for the stability of the market.
Yeah, that's actually one of my thoughts on why people aren't buying as much right now. You just said it. They're just like pausing to like learn more on the fly and not make those same mistakes, and they don't want to they just don't want to buy stuff when stuff is trending down. They don't want to be the one that loses money on anything, not even just, base cards, but any kind of card. They don't want to be the guy that overpays. Who wants to overpay? Nobody does. Everyone wants to get a deal, and that's part of it. And so now people are sort of like adjusting on the fly and learning how to, more properly evaluate what cards to them have meaning or they want to own or they think is better long term. And we're just all trying to figure this out.
Yeah, definitely. And this reminds me of a question earlier from Drake that was basically asking, like, what do you tell people who bought cards at all-time highs in February and now the cards are down maybe 40, 50% or more in some cases? Well, guess what? There was lots of people who bought cards at all-time highs in August, and those cards never recovered. But the hobbies and industry certainly did, and had a whole new tripling or quadrupling in size, following August. So I think what happened in August was, people paid high prices, but they moved on and they kept on pushing. And I think that's maybe some tough, but hopefully good advice for people who had the same thing happen in February. Keep on pushing, keep on learning. And as the old friend of the show, Warren Buffett, would say, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy.
And dude, just like, this is so obvious, but don't follow the hype. Someone posted like Tyler Hero RPAs. Remember when someone bought a Tyler Hero RPA for $30,000 and now you probably couldn't sell that thing for $5,000 because the dude can barely get on the court, it seems. It's like, just don't fall for the traps of something that happens in this very moment. Like, look at the long term and don't listen to other people. I was going to say that earlier, but I didn't. Just like, don't necessarily just listen to what other people tell you to buy or what player you should be buying and all this crap. And ignore all that noise.
Raw Card Collector says, what do you guys think about ticket stubs / NBA game tickets? Do you own any? No, I do not. I didn't get involved in collectibles to dabble in speculative investments. I got involved in collectibles because I love cards, sticking to cards. But look, if people like them or they bring happiness to you or they bring some other utility to you, more power to you.
Yeah, I could see some being cool. Maybe it's like a ticket stub for the first game that you went to with your dad or the first time you saw your favorite player or something like that. Maybe there's some utility there, to use your phrase again.
Creps and Cards says, soccer. Any thoughts on soccer?
Like what? What kind of thoughts?
That's all I got to go with here is soccer.
Like, is it a good investment?
I don't know. Just Krebs and Cards sent a one-word topic: soccer. I'm really struggling here, guy. I don't have anything on soccer either, to be honest. I don't really watch it. See some of the cards doing well. I think, Josh, you had a comment. I'm not sure if it was at Dallas or it was on a show, but you said at least some of the soccer is proven to have real staying power. And there are people who are collecting it who are enjoying it. And that bodes well for the market for soccer cards.
Yeah, the overall soccer market, what was the Jack the Ripper? What was like the meme that he had? The Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper got to a very small segment of the soccer community, which was like the super obvious base stuff that got crushed. But from my perspective, what I saw, I think soccer got through it very well, and I think it is like an actual thing that's here to stay. There's enough guys that stuck with it and have continued to enjoy it. And I think the same is going to be true for tennis and football and wrestling cards. I think there's enough interest in those areas that it's going to get through it because there's actually a decent amount of people that enjoy it. So I think those are here to stay. I've seen enough evidence now where, people set up at shows with only soccer cards that I saw, or like you said, people that have more like rare type collector soccer cards where they're actually enjoying it. I mean, that stuff is, I'm never going to knock anyone that gets into any sort of niche of the hobby. Oh, F1 cards. There's a lot of people that are really enjoying that. I'm not sure. I'm not going to make a call on that one yet because there's only like one set that's ever been released really with any like real staying power. But there's a lot of people that are really enjoying it, and I myself love F1. So I think, I don't see any reason why there wouldn't be enough people that got excited about it to stay long term. That's really what you're looking for, right? You're looking for a collector base to grow and build and start something and stick with it.
Definitely. A few more questions here. Red Sun Collectibles says, what are your thoughts on the value of Emmitt Smith? Why is he undervalued compared to Walter Payton and Barry Sanders when Emmitt has the all-time rushing record and 3 Super Bowl rings? Will his cards increase the longer that he holds on to his record?
There's a couple really good reasons. One, his rookie cards suck. They are terrible. And that's a huge part of it, right, dude? Like if I am a collector and I want to start collecting a certain player, you know this, I'm all about like what are their rookie cards, what are their important sets, what's their grade distribution. And so when I'm looking at like Larry Fitzgerald, he's got great rookie choices. When I'm looking at Barry Sanders has terrible ones, but he's got sweet 90s cards. And I guess Emmitt has 90s cards too. That's the bad example, but it's a lot of it is their rookie card selection, and he's got probably the worst that you could ever have. It's like score. It's just like it's terrible. His rookie cards suck, and he's kind of a boring player. He's kind of like a Tim Duncan, where he's got super good stats, very consistent. He's got some championships, but he's not really flashy. Barry Sanders is obviously a very flashy player. Randy Moss, very flashy, very exciting. But Jerry Rice has a pretty decent following, and he wasn't the flashiest guy ever. So maybe there's something there. Maybe I'm off. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Not super knowledgeable in any of those areas. Just wanted to give airtime to the question and get your input on it as well. Worth thinking about.
It's an interesting thought to think about. I'm sort of like coming around to it, even just talking to myself about it, having my little own internal struggle on it. Just my initial reaction is his rookie cards are terrible, and he was, kind of a more bland player compared to Barry Sanders and Walter Payton.
Definitely. Okay, Mike.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at over there? She's shaking her head at me or something?
No, I'm just seeing what she's up to over there. She's adding some cards. I keep looking to see which one she's adding next. All right, Mike Pinkerton.
She's plotting something over that comment I made about the Mavs. She's plotting something.
Be afraid.
If the Lakers lose, I'm never gonna hear the end of it. Is that right?
No one should have to live with the fear of Christina's lingering, omnipresent wrath.
I am afraid.
Scary. Yeah.
It is scary. I'd be more scared if I were you for not taking her to that fucking game today.
Yep, I am scared of that too. All right, Mike Pinkerton 50 says, I think investing has gone to high end and collecting is in the mid to low end. Thoughts? I mean, I would see why somebody would say that, right? Because high end, like this Gretzky OPG PSA 10 private deal, Heritage 3.5 million, just that card's going to the freaking moon. Whereas other stuff that's in the lower, that's more visible that we can see selling on eBay every day, not most of it is not. I think I can see why somebody would think that. Oh, people are just willing to continually spend more and more and more on the super elite cards and not on the mid and lower end. So I think that's the perspective this is coming from.
I just want to give more credit to the people, or more leeway to the people that are spending really high dollar amounts on those super high end cards and not think they're just investing, because if you're dropping that kind of coin, there's got to be some sort of level of collecting at that point, right, Chris?
Agree. To me, when you're in a collectible space, the people who end up, from a theoretical point of view, the people who end up being the best investors are the ones who are at heart the best collectors. That's how I would break that down. So,
yeah.
All right.
And the guy with the most expensive, highest end investing portfolio is also, maybe one of the biggest collectors. So
there you go. There you go. Card Shop Dad says, can you eulogize collectors that are now priced out of their grails? Only slightly kidding.
What does that word mean?
Like, can we stand, like, if we're at their funeral, give some remarks that summarize their life, say nice things about them?
Now, just give me this question again, since I was distracted by the definition of that word.
Can you eulogize the collectors that are now priced out of their grails? Only slightly kidding.
R.I.P.
The most concise eulogy ever. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the lion in waiting. It's the concept of waiting for that hunt to come down. That's the collector right now.
KPB card says the Office episode with the dead bird comes to mind. I get that reference.
How far are you, man?
We haven't been able to watch since we went to Dallas, and we were going to watch last night, but we just been tired. Yeah, we just been kind of tired the last few
really
days.
Hard to...
The adrenaline from the show is gone. So how far are we, like, in that season 4? Yeah, I think maybe season 4, season 5.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep up with content right now with the playoffs. Like, everything comes to a halt for me.
True. That's true too.
We stopped Silicon Valley because I'm watching playoffs every night, and it's like, it's literally either I'm either watching LeBron or I'm really interested in the other series that's on the off days or whatever. Like tonight, I was really interested in Clippers Mavs, obviously, and you guys are interested in games when the Mavs aren't playing, so it's hard.
Yeah, to me, of every year, NBA playoffs, especially first round, is the best time of the year for sports. You get really good, interesting games every freaking night of the week. You can't beat it.
It's like those first 2 days of March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, you're not getting like the elite matched up against the elite yet, but there's so much volume and so many games that you're like, I like all of it. It's good enough.
All right.
That Nets Bucks. I'm waiting for you, man. That's gonna be the one. I'm telling you, man.
That's gonna be.
Give it to me.
I haven't even had a chance. I haven't watched any of the Nets so far. This playoffs, and I'm gonna watch every Nets Bucks game.
I'll sum it up for you. I'll sum it up for you.
Okay.
Durant, Harden, and Kyrie. A little bit of Joe Harris sprinkled in.
What about a little bit of Blake Griffin?
Yeah, those 3 dudes have the ball 90% of the game, and they score 80% of their points.
Christina's asking me if she's added enough cards. Yes, you have.
Go to sleep.
Go to
You're
don't watch
free
the
of your
Hubby, see the
duties.
Hubby though. All right, so since we're having a little fun and it's late, and we still have 73 real ones with us. 72. Oops. Who?
Get out of here.
Oh, 74. Who wins, Bucks or Nets? Sorry to Boston and Miami fans if we're wrong, but assuming that Nets and Bucks make it, who wins, Bucks or Nets, and in how many games?
Oh, we've been down this path, but I'm picking the Bucks, man. I'll stick with it.
Oh,
I'm
that's
picking
right.
the Bucks.
Our clash, the clash of our preseason prediction is coming to fruition right now. Because I suppose I have to say the Nets then, because I picked the Nets to come out of the East.
So I'll say the Bucks in 7 because I really want a 7-game series.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm gonna say Nets in 6.
On the road? What are you, insane?
Maybe, but I think I should think the Boston series going longer than 4. At first, I thought it was bad for the Nets, but actually, the amount of time that Kyrie, Durant, and Harden play together, they need more time together. Give them
Agreed.
6 games together.
I've never been a believer that the shorter series helps you. Really, I just, again, my whole thing with this is that these are NBA professional athletes. Their job is to play basketball games, and they know they're used to it. They know how to play games. One extra game isn't really. It's just more time for them to, like you said, more time to play together. And the thing that I've noticed that gets an NBA player to play the best is when they're doubted, their backs are against the wall, and you start telling them like, "Oh, you guys are tired and you're not well rested." These are the things that they read and they use. So if you tell the Nets like, "Oh, they slipped up against the Celtics and they're gonna be tired," and it's just gonna piss them off more.
Very, very true.
And those dudes are rested as fuck, man. If any team is more rested than the Nets, please show them to me because those guys haven't played any games. They just started their season this week.
All right. So FanDuel's Sportsbook has the odds of who's going to win the Eastern Conference. Nets, Bucks, 76ers. Nets are minus 110, meaning they're the favorite. Bucks are plus 240. So Bucks have about 2.5 to 1 odds. And the 76ers are plus 280. I mean, they have a little bit better 3 to 1 odds, which is interesting to me. So the Bucks and the Nets both have better odds than the 76ers, but the Nets have the best odds overall. And since we're here, why don't we take a look at the West? The West is Lakers plus 135. Second is Jazz plus 220. That's pretty close. That's too close. Clippers plus 500. Mavs plus 1,000. Nuggets plus 1,300. So the West is really, according to the bookies, Lakers and Jazz in the West, and Nets, Bucks, and 76ers in the East.
Sounds about right.
Okay, let's see what else do we have? Okay. Oh, nice looking cardboard wants to know, was an hour 2 question. Was Josh cheering out loud for LeBron at Suns Arena? Wait, is Josh even a cheerer?
Yes. And my local Arizona friends are not talking to me right now. They are outwardly pissed at me. No joke. They're like after the Suns won that game, they all texted me like, taunting me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Suns won, LeBron nothing, bitch, and stuff like that. It's like, dude. And I'm a cheerer. Did you hear me? We talked on Wednesday. I had no voice.
You were hoarse. Yeah, you were hoarse.
I'm a cheer. And dude, I got totally sucked into the feeling of like, arenas being full again and, the excitement level. And it was like, I don't even know what I was cheering for at some point. It's like, you just wanted to scream stuff. You're like, you're fucking Kuzma. I was screaming at Kuzma for a good minute. That dude is pissing me off. I was screaming. I was like, hit a fucking shot. It's like, and a lot of the people around us were Suns fans, but there were some guys behind us that were Laker fans, and there was some John and, some taunting of like the big thing from the Lakers fans, which is kind of annoying to me because I am still like a Suns fan. sorry, I'm a little sensitive to this. They're like, we have Magic and Kobe and Will. What? You have nothing. We have so much history and you suck. And it's like, come on, man. Like, we're here at this game. You know, Suns are trying to beat the Lakers. I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. It's kind of lame.
That does get weird.
Very weird.
Also, like the Celtics and the Lakers have some like historical rivalry or something that goes back to 60s. Like,
Or it goes back to Bird and Magic, you idiots.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like,
what?
you think
What?
Yeah, I'm pissy.
Wow.
you think that the Celtics have some sort of like mental advantage over Mavs fans because they have more championships? Like, I'd be more excited as a Mavs fan today than I would be a Celtics fan.
I just don't know what Bill Russell has to do with the team that the Celtics puts on the floor today.
Exactly. It was just like, it's just a lame argument. Just, I mean, dude, you got LeBron and AD. Just lean on that. Don't be weird.
I guess it's maybe a little fan insecurity that, hey, even if this doesn't work out, look at our rafters. We still have all these banners hanging.
But it was kind of fun to sense that, like, we all were sort of on an equal playing field of, like, dude, we're just happy to be in this stadium right now. Like, we're here at a playoff game. There was definitely a sense of that to me. Like, there wasn't much hostility because it was like, we're here, we're watching basketball, this is great.
Yeah. And even though they were incrementally adding fans to stadiums, like there was like 2,000 and 4,000, it does just feel like all of a sudden they're just packed houses out of nowhere. And
it was packed.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, dude, that game was a sellout. The one that I was at, it was a sellout. It was like, it was super loud. I was struggling to find empty seats. It was a blast.
All right, we had one last question from Booze Cards, the great Booze Cards.
We went to Rudy's. It's okay.
He said, Court Kings. I absolutely love the design, although I ripped some yesterday and didn't get shit. Court Kings. Better luck next time, boo. That's all we got. That's all there's a few more questions that came in via DM, actually, and I'm sorry to those people I didn't get to them, but I was watching the game, so your questions came in late. Maybe I'll put them in the queue for next week. How about that?
Did you watch Friends?
I've watched Friends. Yep.
They did my wife and I watched the HBO Friends reunion documentary tonight. Very good. If you like Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yep. I mean, we're kind of like Friends super fans, so they could have put out anything and we would have been excited. But it was very good.
I did not know this. Okay. Joey, Phoebe, Ross, Chandler, Rachel, and Monica, the sister of Ross.
Yes, correct. Good job. You did it. You have not seen Friends much, have you?
I watch it. Like Friends would be the show that if I was homesick from school, I'd watch 8 episodes in syndication that afternoon.
They are the syndication gods. They are the king of syndication. Like, they dominate. I think I saw a stat that their episodes in totality have been watched over 100 billion times.
Not bad.
It's probably the most popular show internationally of all time.
Not bad, but have you seen how many views the sports card content channels get from the Dallas show? Because they're getting a lot of views.
Like 75K each. You just put out anything at 75K.
Yeah. Yep.
The Office is better for sure, but Friends is like the OG of sitcoms. Well, I mean, it's not the OG, but super popular, paved the way for other big shows.
Yeah, still very popular to this day too.
Oh, dude, insanely popular. Friends is great.
I did that. I think I will watch that reunion.
It's good. It's almost 2 hours, and the timing of you watching that game worked out because I was watching the end of that documentary.
Nice. Okay, good. All right. Well, I think we shall call it for today. Good episode. Good to be back. Still got some work to do on this side. So, yeah. Any last thoughts?
Nope.
Chef Lizette, if you are at the National, we will not be hard to spot.
Especially Chris, because he's the tall one.
I was going to say, we're both very short. So, just these two short little guys wandering around, that is us. All right, guys. See you all next week.
See you.